Hi, everybody. My name is Angela O'Neill, and I'm here with you today from Outrageous 8 Records. I am here with my friend, William Bodine. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today on your Sunday.
Thank you,
I
Andy.
call him Chill, because he's a chill dude. And when we work together, we kind of relax into it and mess around. We have such a great time. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We are thrilled because Chill and I have worked on a couple of different projects over the last couple of years. He is a very talented musician, writer. I mean, there's kind of too many monikers to throw at his talents. But Bill Bodine was the producer on this record. He brought Chill to me, and we kind of started off on this record thinking, basically kind of producing and engineering, or he did, a single called I Can't Make You Love Me. And just the very first day when I met you, I just liked you. You're just talented. You're a very warm
Likewise.
guy. I think you're funny. And you're a perfectionist, which I also definitely have that failing or advantage, however one looks at it. But it
Well,
was.
you do things right, but it means you're gonna die early, is what I heard. So.
Nobody knows when we're gonna die. That's the thing. Um, but but
Dark
it's
turn.
what's that?
The dark turn.
Yeah, going dark. We're going dark. Um, and sometimes you just do go there. But we spend a lot of hours in the studio together, sometimes talking about the music, sometimes talking about life. And I think we got to know each other pretty well, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. You're just really, really good at what you do. I was just talking to your dad a little bit ago. We were talking about how amazing it is to have somebody on the team like you who keeps things current. You're endlessly curious. You keep at something. I know we had some tunes on the first record that we did together, which was Light at the End of the Tunnel. We just had some bleed and some flams and some ugliness. And I just remember you sitting at the computer, just like, I'm going to be here. I think you turned to me at some point. You're like, I'm going to be here a while. I was like, okay, I'll check you later. You're so good at what you do. You have such good ears.
You're so
Um,
complimentary. No one's
no,
this nice. This is
I'm telling
amazing.
you, I'm so grateful. Well, first of all, I'm grateful that this record got done. So here's the record in all its glory.
And it
It,
came out good,
you know, not bad, right?
right?
Did you listen to the whole thing?
Yeah, and I'm very proud of my work. I think you sound great. It's energetic, it's fun, and it's not trying to be anything too much. Like it's just it's you, and you are a really fun, wonderful person to be around, and your social media ability is inspiring. But not only that, like you sing great on the record, and I think that your vibe and your warmth uh, comes through on this because you chose a more simplistic route instead of doing some weird complex jazz stuff that people barely get. You chose things that communicate, and I think uh, for something to really be art, it has to communicate. That's really its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing so, I think you created a really nice piece of art that I enjoy. When I listen to the record,
Wow.
it cheers me.
People have given me a lot of feedback on this record, but I have to tell you that's like some of my most favorite feedback that I've gotten. You certainly helped with that. I think that you engineered and mixed at least half of the record, just about half. We had some problems with this record that had to do with COVID and shutdowns and all that kind of stuff, unavoidably so. And also, I think it's just hard to make a record. I mean, without
Well,
COVID.
that didn't we record the? Well, I didn't record the horns, but weren't they recorded outside?
You know,
Um,
yes, right. We did a
yeah.
bunch of the. I mean, it's really just a mishmash. We did a bunch of the tracks remotely to begin. Then we did some rhythm remotely. Then suddenly it opened up, so we went out to one studio, and we did like three of the tunes. And then it shut down again, and we took another break, and then we went out to another studio and did other. So it truly is a mishmash. And like on Shiver Me Timbers was completely when we were in shutdown, and your mom, Beth, and Bill basically, he arranged it, and it all kind of got done remotely, almost exclusively on that one. So it really is a combination. No one tune was done alike. What's amazing, I think, at the end of the day with all that, I mean, we were lucky enough to have Lenny Goldsmith come in and do some vocals, which you engineered those, and Anna Orbison come in and do Making Whoopee, and I think you engineered that vocal as well. I think that a specialty of yours, unless I'm mistaken, is kind of vocal producing, and I think you're really talented at it. What about that is appealing to you about specifically vocals?
Uh, well, I'm a little bit OCD and perfectionist, and you can do so much to change a vocal sound these days. I mean, I'm fortunate enough, we are, that we have access to a studio with amazing preamps. I mean, we're running you through, we did two different channels. One was actually the Michael Jackson chain, which is a vintage Neve through an 1176, a Uri. And that's what Michael Jackson insisted on in every one of his sessions. And then we also used an Avalon 737, but mostly it was the C12 mic we used. We just had the tube replaced, so it's really a custom mic. So combining all those things, I mean, it's vocal sounds, like the more money you throw at them, generally, the better they get. So, stacking just precise EQs, and then going through and hand tuning, I think really makes a difference. And where you don't just auto tune it and get the Britney Spears effect, you slightly adjust the vocalist, so you're not really changing their performance, you're just making everything closer.
Yeah.
So just it's cool because you get to make people better.
Right.
And not that you need to be better. It's just every singer, you can make it just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the tedium and the results, because it's turning into a really good business. So
yeah, and I think it's really interesting because like you said at the beginning, it's about communication. When I was working with you, I mean, it's weird because I produced the record, but I also did the vocals on the one tune. So I have personal experience of working with you as a vocal producer. And I think I can say two things. A, I really felt like you had an amazing array of tools to work with, that you could apply specifically to my voice, right? Each voice is so different, and the needs of what you would apply to it, like you said, to not change the performance so much that it doesn't sound like their voice anymore. You had such an array of tools to choose from. I felt really taken care of. And that's an unusual thing. I think you feel very vulnerable as a singer a lot of times. And I said to somebody the other day, I think the only reason I could really pull the emotional content out of that performance is because I really did feel so safe while I was performing in the studio with you and Bill. And it's a big thing for people. And the second thing is, like you said at the beginning, it's a big thing. The second thing is kind of the communication. I think that what I was trying to say at the beginning, how we hit it off right at the beginning, is that you were able to enhance what I was trying to communicate without interrupting it. And that is actually so important. It's something people don't talk very much about with vocals, but it's a kind of a complex issue, and there's a magic to it. That again, back to the first point, you have to have an array of tools to go. Let me try this. Nope, that changed it too much. Oh, let me try this. Oh, that's it. And you really have to know what's out there to choose from. From.
I didn't mean to go so technical on the last question.
No, that sounds perfect. No, I think the people who are watching the Zoom want to know what we did.
I think working with a singer, like, I think when you're producing anything, you're really the quarterback, and every day has to be your best day. You can't show up in a bad mood. You can't show up hungover. Like, you have to be there early. You have to be positive. You have to be nourished so that you can do a proper session. I think it's applying those, really treating it as a responsibility, and then pushing the singer with positivity. And sometimes it means doing things that you don't necessarily want to do, that the singer wants to do. And it's making sure the singer feels respected. I think because some producers kind of talk down or order singers around. And yeah, if we're getting deep in the session, like I'll go into that if we need a certain line. But I think it's really important that the singer feels not only appreciated, but free to kind of create their track at their pace and address the things that bother them, because then it opens their mind back up and they can give a better performance after that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so interesting the way you talk about it. So let's go back a little bit. One of the things that I think people who might be watching the Zoom would be interested in is to know kind of what your background in music is. Both of your parents are musicians, but how did you get introduced to music in a way that's kind of turned out to be a lifelong passion for you? What was your first introduction to music?
I did my first professional session at 6. I was a member of SAG and After by 7. My band got signed when I was 17, when it went kind of nowhere. So we all went to different colleges. I got a full ride to UCI on piano and went to Berklee School of Music during summers. So I attended both universities. Mm-hmm. And then actually the high school band got back together, and we were working at Nick's Martini Lounge and doing some weddings. And then we heard about this comedian who was trying to be a rapper. We were also doing backup bands. So we're backing up this guy. His name's Donald Glover. I hadn't really seen his show. And it turned into Childish Gambino. So the main player is piano player in Childish Gambino was Ludwig, but on occasion when he had to write or compose, I would fill in for him. And that band also became Passion Pit, and now it's split. It's just crazy, like this one high school band. I mean, the drummer's right. Christina Aguilera's music director. The guitar player is on tour with Lorde. I was supposed to be out with the Mowgli's, but our tour got canceled. It was going to be full Asia, I think in 9 months. It was going to be a monster, but we could do China. And the bass player, he made a crypto investment, and like, he's just living life now.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
Yeah, he got into Bitcoin really, really early, and now he doesn't have to work.
So oh my God, that's hilarious. Wow. And did you like take, so earlier though, 6 is very young obviously, but piano is your first instrument?
Yeah, I started at 5.
Okay. And what was the SAG thing about at 7?
I was doing commercials and TV spots.
Oh, okay.
I still have, I don't know how old it was, but there's a platinum record back there from, no, double platinum from Tarzan, which I was featured on.
Oh my
I think it
gosh,
was,
I didn't even know that. That's really cool. So, what's on the wall behind you that's memorable? Like, tell me what all that is, because it's amazing. Actually, I love your array back there.
oh, well, we have Queen Badu. Then I got a Jill Scott limited edition vinyl,
Hmm.
and Rage Against the Machine because they need to come back.
I
We need
love
Rage
them
Against
so
the Machine
much.
more than ever right now.
God, yes.
Um, I just
Very
wish
cool.
Zach Taylor would come back.
Yeah.
But,
And would you say, do you still love playing piano? Is that, or I know that you're a vocalist as well. Are there other instruments that you like playing as well, or is primarily piano for you?
um, I really like it all. With when I'm producing and ghostwriting, you know, I do a lot of bass lines. I really enjoy playing guitar, just because playing Hendrix makes you feel good inside.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have this Wurlitzer right here that I'm fixing by hand. It's from I think like '78.
Cool.
I'm not sure, but it was my mom's, and it's all broken, and now I got it working. So I play a lot of Ray Charles on that.
Oh, that's a
Um,
great sound, man.
yeah, and it's funny. My neighbors complain when I'm producing EDM, but whenever I'm playing Ray Charles, like they'll send me like, "Oh, that sounds great."
Oh,
Um,
that's too funny.
that and
Tell them
then
you take requests.
I love playing Bill Evans is another thing that just like gives me peace. You know,
Yeah,
especially if I'm having a tough day.
yeah.
And I studied in depth in college for over a year, so I know a decent amount of his catalog, and it's he was just brilliant. You know,
Yeah.
we lost him early, like so many people. I mean, I was listening to Mac Miller today, another artist that we lost early.
Yeah.
But there's something about Bill Evans that is so beautifully perfect. You know, he creates tension and resolves it, and it's extremely difficult to play, which is another thing that I like about it.
Yeah.
Because he does a lot of like 3 finger at a time. You know, he'll trace his melody with a sixth a lot of the time,
Hmm.
and it's just it's my happy place. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's so talented. It's amazing to it's amazing to listen to guys like that. I often wish that I played piano. So I'm envious of your talent. It's funny because your dad and I were talking about. He was telling me a story about walking home from school in elementary school, and he was walking home with his friends. You've probably heard this story. And he had his trumpet case with him, and he was like, hey, wait a minute, you guys. And he went over and opened the case and had to like play this little riff. It was like going through his head, and he had to play this little riff, and like, you know, he said he went and hid behind a tree and then played the do 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 whatever it was in elementary school, right? And it's funny because you just what it reminded me of is kind of like, you know, OCD in the loosest sense of the word. That there's an aspect of that, like you're talking about studying Bill Evans. And when I played the oboe when I was a kid, you know, I would go over something again and again and again, trying to get the feel for it. And I played classical music primarily, so I would play that same arpeggio 1 million times until I literally wasn't even thinking about it. You know, my fingers actually just did it, just muscle memory. And it is fascinating that I think it is kind of a thing about musicians to study other musicians or to study something that fascinates you and kind of pull it apart and figure out what its elements are. Do you think that's
well,
a thing among musicians?
there's I mean there's some simple Bill Evans songs like he does a version of Blue and Green that I learned, and it's something like I can, just roll out of bed, close my eyes, and I can play that at any time, anywhere on any piano. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Bill Evans I can't relax on because of the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, do you think it's an aspect of musicianship in general, or as your dad said, a calling to music?
Oh,
If you're a person who constantly kind of works at something and pulls it apart to see its elements.
uh, I just know it's part of who I am. Um, like I'm always recording vocal notes, then I'll come home and try and turn them into something. And I mean, when I was in college, like I would take a book of Bill Evans solos and read them like I was reading paper on reading a book.
A
Sorry,
book, yeah, yeah,
on the flight, and like I could hear it in my head. Uh,
yeah.
so it's just I don't know if it's a calling or it's something that I have to have in my life.
Yeah, yeah. It's just an interesting thing. I think people who aren't musicians wouldn't necessarily know kind of, to me, what I think is what I would categorize loosely as like something kind of a very analytical part of people who are musicians. Um, because they think it's kind of a free thing, but the truth is that we really hone in on something to try to figure out what it takes to evoke that. Again, back to communication. Like, what is it that you do with your voice to evoke some emotions? What is it that, what kind of chord progression evokes a certain kind of emotional state? It is actually kind of fascinating, the science. I'm sure there is a scientific word for that. But it's amazing. And of course, your parents are both really talented musicians. I'm sure you have been writing your whole life, playing piano your whole life. Um, for kids who are maybe wanting to do music for their careers, let's say there's high school kids who are listening to this Zoom, what advice would you give them?
Um, Learn how to program, learn Pro Tools and Ableton, and write a song every day. Because this guy, Bob DiPiero, who's a big deal in Nashville, and a family friend, I had a dinner with him when I was in high school and asked him a similar question, but this was specifically geared towards songwriting. And he said, your first 1,000 songs will not be good.
Mm,
And then if you get 1 out of 30, you're a pro.
right.
So, if you're writing a song or two every day, maybe 1 out of 30 of those songs is going to be good enough to push forward. And I think,
Right.
like, if you plan to be a professional musician, you have to develop that discipline, because there's no boss standing over you making you work, and there's not always a promise of money. And you really just have to have the drive and commitment that it's a necessary part of your life.
Right.
Um,
Right. That's great advice, I think. And again, I think that there's a kind of public perception, maybe non-musician kind of perception of it not being a discipline, but music certainly is in every
all
single
discipline.
way. Yeah, it's all discipline. Yeah. And I think even people, who are pros, they still take lessons. I still take vocal lessons. I know Paul still takes trumpet lessons. Anybody who's a pro, you have to keep your chops up, and you also need to identify, we were talking about this earlier in the Zoom, need to identify what your weaknesses are and aim at your weaknesses and work on them. Don't always just play to your strengths. Know what your weaknesses are, and work on those daily too. So, it was amazing working on this record with you. I'm so grateful that we got to. We made some really, really cool tunes that have, it's funny because the biggest feedback on the record has been how sonically similar, as eclectic as the tunes are, how sonically it holds together. And that I'm very proud of, because we did so many different studios, as you know, so much, it was so cobbled together because of the timing of when we made it. And that is very much thanks to you and your dad producing it as well. The tunes just came out amazing. And I'm really thrilled that it's dropping tomorrow. So what we mean by dropping tomorrow, just for the folks out there, is we sent this out to all the radio stations worldwide in the last month or two. And basically, it drops on all the streaming services tomorrow, and it also will be available on the outrageous8records.com. If you want to, support financially the music, you kind of have to go to the website and download it. Otherwise, if you stream it, obviously, we'll make 15 cents in a decade. But but if you want to support us financially, the way to do it is to go to the website. But regardless of that, just the fact that we finished it and that it's opening tomorrow, May Day, is really thrilling, I think, for all of us who worked on it. And it honestly has been an absolutely amazing experience. Getting to know you and getting to work with you has been an absolute gift. For those folks who want to follow you, I think you're Be Chill, right, on IG.
On IG, I'm actually acknowledged now, so it's AKNL3DG3.
Okay, perfect. So run that back if you need to, but you can follow him on IG. And what's the fun, exciting project coming up for you in this next little bit? Anything you want to tell the nice folks about?
Well, it's a kind of R&B EDM record that I'm just finishing up. We're in talks in how to release it, and there's always, are you going to go label or independent? But we're working with some, I'm working with some really talented people on it, and as well as another producer. But we have a singer from The Voice, Sugar Jones, who's on it.
Cool.
And Lord's backup singer, Jules Pizzullo, is on it. And it'll be released probably in about a month. So.
Oh my God, that's really exciting. So everybody keep your ears to the ground on that one. Make sure and follow him on IG, and then you'll obviously get the info as that starts to come out. Thank you so much for joining me on your Sunday. I so appreciate you coming and talking to me about this project. It was really a pleasure, and thank you for everything that you brought to the project. I really appreciate it, Jill.
Thank you, Angela. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It absolutely has. Thank you so much. Thanks, you guys. Have a great Sunday. See you tomorrow, May 1st, when Legacy, Paul Litteral's solo trumpet record, it drops on Outrageous 8 Records. Thanks, you guys. See you.